Hi, and welcome to the third installment of the Title Block Live for May 7th, 2020. I am your host, Michael Cruz, and this week we take all of your questions about costume design and everything that's involved with that. And thanks a bunch for finding us this week. To make sure you find us next week, please click the subscribe button there on the Title Blocks Live's YouTube thing, the button below. Just press subscribe. Just press it. Before I introduce our guests, I wanted to point everyone to thetitleBlock.com, where you can find interviews as well as linked show notes to many of the guests we'll have on the Title Block Live. Several people I have interviewed tonight. And now let me introduce you to our remarkable guests. First, originally from Mexico City, Carmen Alatorre earned her MFA degree, and she'll tell me if that is pronounced correctly because I didn't check with her.
Yes.
Earned her MFA degree in theater design at UBC and has worked as a theater designer in Vancouver since 2006. Some of her recent design credits include Peter and the Starcatcher, Top Dog, Underdog, and Mustard from Arts Club Theater, Pericles, The Winter's Tale, As You Like It, and All's Well That Ends Well at Bard on the Beach, which we've talked about on the podcast many times, Cinderella at the Globe, As You Like It at Royal Manitoba Theatre Centre, Citadel Theatre, Anywhere But Here, Electric Company. Carmen is the recipient of 3 Jesse Richardson Theatre Awards. And for more information, you can find her website at carmenalatorre.com, and that'll be in the show notes. Carmen, welcome to the Title Block Live.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Excellent.
Hello to everyone.
All right. Nancy Bryant calls Vancouver her home. She worked primarily as a costume designer. Recent design credits for dance include works with Crystal Pite and her team, Revisor, Kid Pivot, Angels Atlas at the National Ballet of Canada and the Zurich Ballet, maybe, Body and Soul, Paris Opera, and Palais Garnier, Partita at the Netherlands Dance Theatre. Recent design for theatre include Kim Collier, Full Light and Day at the Banff Centre, Vancouver Playhouse and Canadian Stage, and The Overcoat, the opera at Tapestry, Can Stage and Van Opera, and Fidelio at Pacific Opera Victoria. And of course, she works on film off and on. Nancy, welcome to the Title Block Live.
Mute. Hello.
Hello.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
And David Beckler. Hello, Nancy. David Beckler has been a set and costume designer, and I've known him for many years, for over 25 years, in fact, for theater, dance, and opera, with a focus lately on musical theater. He's also had an extensive experience in audience engagement activations in the corporate world, film and television production, and he took a few years to run the fine art department in an auction house. David Beckler, welcome to the Title Block.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
Sabrina Miller. We have so many guests this week. Sabrina Miller is a set and costume and puppet designer who came to Montreal from the West Coast. She uses her skill of combining symbolism and costume design to create the full spectrum of large-scale musicals with hundreds of costumes to intimate new works and site-specific shows. Sabrina, welcome to the Title Block Live.
Hi. Thank you very much, Michael.
Sean Mulcahy is a Toronto-based costume and set designer, a graduate of York University, and a past regional rep for the Associated Designers of Canada. Sean has worked across North America, most recently designing costume for the Canadian premiere of Bend It Like Beckham in the musical in Toronto. Bend It Like Beckham, the musical, not like Bend It Like Beckham in the musical in Toronto. Sean Mulcahy, welcome to the Title Block Live.
Thanks, Michael. Glad to be here.
Dana Osborne is a set and costume designer based in Stratford, Ontario. She was just about to start her 20th season, my goodness, with the Stratford Festival, designing costumes for Chicago. God, we got to see that. The new Daniel McIver and Steve Page musical, Here's What It Takes, #2 hit of the world, and Morris Penich's Frankenstein Revive. That sounds like a great season. Dana Osborne, welcome to the Title Block Live.
Hello, thank you for having me.
April Visco is a past president of Associated Designers of Canada. She currently is the project lead at the World Stage Design 2021 and a professor at the University of Calgary. She resides in Calgary, works for theaters regionally and nationally, and she's also a mother of a precocious 6-year-old boy. April, welcome to the Title Block Live.
Hi, Michael. Thank you.
Awesome. Ming Wong is a Toronto costume designer, stylist, and wardrobe technician. She has worked on a variety of projects ranging from dance, theater, film, and television, and has designed across the city and beyond for companies such as the Canadian Opera Company, Citadel Theatre, Can Stage, Crow's Theatre, Nightwood Theatre, Factory Theatre, Obsidian Theatre, and the Modern Times Stage Company. Ming, welcome to the Title Block Live.
Thank you so much for having me.
And Joanna Yu is a set and costume designer who primarily works in Ontario, but has had the opportunity to design for theaters across Canada. Joanna spends most of her time designing new Canadian plays, but occasionally designs musicals, Shakespeare classics for dance and opera. Joanna, welcome to the Title Block Live.
Thanks. Happy to be here with everybody.
Awesome. And then, as usual, Connor Moore is a Vancouver-based set, lighting, projection designer. And he is going to take over the interrogation. Connor, welcome back to the Title Block Live. And thank you, everyone, for joining me to talk about costume design this week. I'm glad I picked this week to wear my sweatpants at the costume panel. Where do we start, Connor?
Thank you, Michael. I put on my best black hoodie for this evening as well. Thank you to all the panelists for being on here tonight. And thank you to everyone watching on YouTube. Submit your questions on the YouTube chat and Michael will get them to us. We also have a list of questions that I harangued a group of Vancouver costume designers today into helping me generate. So thank you to everyone who sent in those questions. Our first question is going to be, why did you decide to become a costume designer? And I'm going to ask each person in turn so that we get your voice. And then after that, we'll just do a free-for-all. So starting with you, Dana, why did you decide to be a costume designer?
Well, I am a failed actor. So I went to York University, thinking that I would be on the stage, and quickly realized that is not my forte, and wanted to keep my hands in theater. So I ended up going into the production department, where I did everything else, like stage management to set painting to everything, and got into the design program later on, and had never done anything in wardrobe. And my thesis ended up being a costume design, and being put in that area, something clicked. I left. When I graduated, I ended up working in a bunch of different wardrobes. I worked at the Shaw Festival and for the Seamless costumes. And at that point in my career, I had done a couple small gigs, but nothing significant design-wise. And I ended up getting into the assistant design program at Stratford. And with my costume background, that was a good fit for me, and I developed my craft from there and started designing at Stratford and elsewhere across Canada and in the States.
Amazing, thank you. Sean, you're up next. Why did you decide to become a costume designer?
Because of Dana Osborne. Actually, partially because of Dana. I think my story is a lot the same. I went to York. I wanted to be a performer and changed my mind after first year, and then sort of progressed in set and lighting at the time. I always was really interested in wardrobe, but I was totally afraid of being just a gay costume designer. So I fought it for a really long time, to be honest. As much as I wanted to do it, I didn't want to be that stereotype, because I grew up in a small town and it just didn't sit well with me. And I went through the design program at York. I went to the Canadian Opera Company as a prop builder, and then assisted at Canadian Stage and got to Stratford, assisted there. My first show was with Miss Osborne. And I really sort of had that internal struggle where I said, screw it. I want to do what I want to do, and I want to enjoy my craft. And so I started really trying to build up a costume, portfolio and experience. And through people at Stratford and Alex Dolgoy, I really learned the craft, and then just pursued it afterwards, and really fought to put my name out there as someone who wasn't just a set designer, but someone who also excelled at wardrobe.
Wonderful, thank you for that. Ming, you're up next. Why did you decide to become a costume designer?
It kind of happened by accident. I started working at a theater or a costume rental company when I was in college. I studied film and integrated media at OCAD. And while I was working part-time, I eventually started doing the rental pulls for the regional theaters. So it got me a lot of that kind of hands-on experience working with costumes and pulling costumes from stock. And eventually somebody asked me if I did stuff outside of the costume rental place that I worked at, and it turned into a full-time job for me. So it was an accident, but a very happy one.
Wonderful, thank you. Sabrina, why did you decide to become a costume designer?
So a little bit like Dana, I started out acting, but it was only when I was a teenager, just in community theater projects. And one of the directors who I worked with quite a bit saw me just, I guess, drawing a bunch. I used to have a sketchbook with me all the time, and I drew characters and costumes and whatever came from my imagination. And she saw this and asked if one day I would ever want to, do costumes for this community theater show. And so I said, sure, not really thinking anything of it. And then when I started doing, they had these 4x8 risers that you would paint for the set, and then a stock of stuff, I started doing costumes for the shows, and really something clicked with me that this is what I was supposed to be doing, and this is an art form I really enjoyed. But even then, I a little bit like Sean, I fought it quite hard, and I was in the sciences, and it wasn't until years later that I decided that, because I just kept doing all these community theater shows for fun, and then I started getting paying jobs for doing it and started being hired to work in costume shops in Victoria, that I realized maybe it was a career for me. So I found out that Mary Kerr was teaching at the University of Victoria, and she is someone whose art I grew up with as a kid, going and seeing her ballets and being exposed to her work in a variety of different places. And that's actually what really clicked for me, is when I found out I could study with her. I did that, and then immediately actually just started getting professional jobs in Victoria, just because I had a reputation in a small town.
Cool, well, thanks so much for that. Carmen, how did you decide to become a costume designer?
Well, I have an undergrad degree in art history back when I was in Mexico. And I had one theater class where we were supposed to go to see theater every week and then review the show. And I just got fascinated with the whole design aspect of the theater in that class. So then after I finished art history, I applied to UBC here in Vancouver and connected with Alison Green and got accepted, and that was it. I started just, basically making all my connections in theater in town through UBC.
Wonderful, thank you for that. David, why did you decide to become a costume designer?
Well, it wasn't on purpose. It was a mistake, I think, initially. I grew up in Saskatchewan in the 70s, and at that time it was quite, can we call it a prosaic existence with not a lot of fabulousness around. And so I became really interested when I was a kid in old movies, and I got obsessed with it, and I started getting every movie star biography that I could get out of the library, and I started memorizing the best actor, the best picture from 1941, blah blah blah, and at the same time Carol Burnett was on, and I was obsessed with all of that. And of course Bob Mackie designed all those brilliant costumes, but I don't think it occurred to me then that it was a job. I don't think I thought it through. Like, I remember I used to sit in the basement for hours with my colored doodle pad and drawing pictures, and I drew a picture once. I was probably, 9, and I drew a picture of Scarlett O'Hara's barbecue dress from the beginning of Gone with the Wind, and I showed my mother, and I she's like, yeah. She's like, oh, great. This is great. But it didn't really occur to me that it was a thing until many years later. I kept going back and forth between working on pursuing theater and pursuing visual art. And when I was doing one, I always missed the other. And I went to England for a year on scholarship to study art. And I ended up in the theater for most of it. And then I came back to Canada and I started working at a dinner theater when I was in the shows. And the sets were terrible. Like, they were just terrible. And I'd bitch about it. And they'd say, well, do something then if you don't like it. And I said, well, okay, I will. And I did the first one for free. And then they paid me for the second one, and they paid me for the third one. And then finally someone said, you can study this, And I'm like, really? I didn't have a clue. So I applied to the U of A, and I got my degree there, and worked for 3 years after university, and then got an assistantship at the Shaw Festival. And I've been in Ontario ever since. But really, it's Bob Mackey and MGM's fault that I'm a costume designer.
That's awesome. Thank you for that. Nancy, why did you decide to become a costume designer?
There we go. Well, I was sharing this. I went through art school, basically a few different art schools. And I always shared studios with a bunch of different people that came from different disciplines, from architecture to designing for theater or building costumes for theater and painting. Anyway, there are all sorts of different people in every studio I was in. It was always the same group of people that kind of carried through in some way. And so we always used to help each other. And so I would help the costume designers build their costumes. And I liked building because ever since I was a kid, we were always making things in our basement. And both my parents were always building stuff or painting things. And there were 4 kids in the family, and all of us made things or, baked things or whatever. But anyways, I got into doing a lot of sewing and building proppy things for costumes, or doing a bunch of dyeing because I liked dyeing. During art school days, I would dye paper pulp and make images from dyed paper pulp. And so it was had already started in art school, I think, my interest. But anyway, and then eventually I just started working at the Playhouse Theater, doing millinery and dyeing and accessories. And anyway, just sort of one thing went to the next. And I had another friend who was managing a dance company, and they needed some costumes built, so I did that. And just one thing. I like Ming. I kind of just sort of fell into it as the jobs progressed. And I just really liked the people that I was actually working with in theater and dance. I just loved, we used to throw a lot of parties at our house every time I was together with another group of people, or other people would have parties, and it just seemed like an awfully good group of people to me. And I just became quite happy in the situation of working in theater or working in dance or whatnot. Anyway, and then eventually the design work for dance just sort of crept into designing for theater, and then designing for opera, and then designing for film. I started doing film because the first director I worked with went through the film roster of designers and wasn't happy with anybody. And then finally I met her, and then because of my theater background, she hired me, and she liked that about me. Anyway, so that was also how I got into doing film work as well. So there's more to the story, but that's it.
Awesome. Thank you for that. April, why did you decide to become a costume designer?
I kind of fell into it too in some ways. I was obsessed with set design and architectural drawings from the time I was about 10. My dad was a drywaller, and I used to flip through architectural drawings, and he gave me a a drafting board, actually not different than the one behind David's head, as a kid, and said, so start drawing and start making interior spaces and stuff like that. So I did that as a kid, but then when I went to Italy on student exchange when I was 18 and studied at an art school for a year. Again, it was an accident. Small town Saskatchewan kid goes to Europe, knows nothing really about fine art other than making paper turkeys from art class in small town Saskatchewan. And then, took drawing classes, took life drawing, took architecture, history, took philosophy class in Italian. I didn't do very well, but and then decided I loved this and I felt like I had an affinity for it and could do it. So then I went to design school at University of Alberta and thought I'd be doing set design. And when I was hired at Stratford, I was hired to be a costume assistant first. And I'd done a lot of lighting design as well in school. So I had sort of, knowledge of all three areas, and costume design fit. It was a good fit. I assisted Charlotte Dean a whole bunch, had a great time at the Stratford Festival doing that kind of work. And then, did a lot of my own designing at the same time. So I sort of spent half the year assisting and half the year not, and did some work with the Canadian Opera Company and Danny Lan. And then went away to Alberta to do my master's and got hired to teach at the University of Calgary. And so now I'm teaching and designing and have been doing that for about 10 years.
Wonderful. Thanks for that. And Joanna, why did you decide to become a costume designer?
It sounds like a lot like everyone else, kind of stumbled into costume design. I had started out in theater as a set and lighting designer and had gone to York also and wanted to be a set and lighting designer from when I got there. And I was really lucky. I went to an arts high school that happened to have a theater roadhouse next to it. So I kind of spent my high school years doing co-op programs as a theater technician. So I met a lot of really neat people and thought theater was totally my bag because I was at the arts high school as a visual artist. And I didn't love it all the time, but the collaboration part of theater was really awesome. So anyway, I went into theater through that route as a set and lighting one. And then I ended up at Stratford and maybe like 2 years out of university. And they had given me a show to assist. And it was mostly costume design, and I wasn't interested in it at all. I didn't know anything about costumes. I had no interest in it. And I guess through the next 4 seasons of me assisting, and Dana was actually one of the last people I assisted there, I kind of fell into doing more costume stuff. So people started nudging work. Sean actually had a few shows that I took that he passed along. And so that was just one thing to another. And now I do a bunch of costume and set stuff as opposed to set and lighting.
Awesome. Thank you for that. So I'll throw the next question out to the group, and feel free to all unmute yourselves and just jump in wherever you want to. So the next question I have is, how do you begin the design process for a show? And especially, how does what happens in the rehearsal hall affect your design and the design process?
That's a heavy question.
It's a big one.
Yeah, it's a big one. I mean, again, I think we all start with visual sources or an inspiration from the director. I mean, that's how I start. Nancy, maybe you want to roll with this one?
Well, definitely. We're very influenced by our directors and choreographers, and sometimes it can start with a conversation in the kitchen with somebody that you're about to work with, and they have this idea, and you think, oh wow, and then you go on from there, and ideas start to come together. And then of course there's Pinterest, and there's all sorts of other means of inspiration visually. But I find, you can only have so much of the visual gathering before you have to start drawing. And I find when I start drawing, then things really start to fall into place. And because so many ideas come from just a little accident of a pencil, or and I do prefer pencil and paper myself.
Yeah, me
That was
too.
one of the questions.
Yeah.
And I just find the whole computer process quite stifling, and although I've never mastered it, so I shouldn't really judge it, because actually there are some really fine computer drawers that I know of, like Ken McDonald.
I know, I can hear Ken yelling at the screen right now.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. And he can design things from the bathroom, whatever. But I like to sit at a desk and use paper and pencil, and just meet back and forth with whoever I'm working with and the other collaborators as well. It's so important to chime in with them as well, because there's lots of other little ideas of what the lighting might be, and kind of pull that in. And there's a show I did recently it's in Zurich. Well, actually, it was going to be in Zurich. It was going to open May the 1st, but I pulled in some of the ideas from lighting into the pattern that we developed for these skirts that they were, or aprony skirt things that the dancers were wearing.
Is that for Atlas?
Anyway, there's lots of different,
Oh, it was amazing.
Angels Atlas.
It was just
Atlas
amazing.
Angels.
Atlas Angels, yeah.
Right.
Just such a fantastic show. Oh my God. It's also the process of starting after the set design too, a little bit. I mean, that one had such the production design was so strong too, right?
Yes. Yeah. Well, we all kind of started around the same time, but there are definitely some ideas forming between Jay, who's designing the set, and Tom designing the lighting that had come out of some of the other shows that we'd also done together. And that's the other thing too, is when you work with the same group of people, a lot of ideas flow from one to the next, and you don't quite get to really develop something in one show, but you can really go at it for the next one, or the 2 or 3 down the line, which is great.
Yeah, I really like working with the lighting designer early on. I know that that's not everybody's first go-to, but for me, particularly if you're going to use certain colors in the wardrobe, coordinating with them and interpreting, just letting them know what you're doing so they don't screw it up with their gels is really important. And in terms of like rehearsal process, I think I don't always get a lot out of the rehearsal process except for practicality. I find that I get more out of the fitting room because there's way more influence from the actors in the fitting room about how they've discovered character or what they want to do, or what, most of the time, Dan, I'm looking at you, what their insecurities are.
Oh yes, well, there is that.
You have to feel out. Like, I mean, that is a big thing I learned from Stratford. A big thing I learned from Miss Osborne over there was learning about people's individual body insecurities and how to address it, and making sure that your costume is still reflective of your concept or period or whatever, but still covers that part of their elbow that they don't want anyone to see.
Yeah, where they put their hands first in a fitting, where you watch the actor and they will automatically take you to the spot that they are vulnerable. So, I mean, that's the other side of the process is I think if you don't honor what is happening with the actor and their character process, your costume will never complete. Right? I mean, we've all had that moment where you can do as much work as you can, but if they can't own it and take it to stage, it won't be there for you.
Oh, and they won't wear it.
No, and you can tell in a second when they respond positively or negatively to the thing that they put on. You can tell in a heartbeat. Yeah.
Yeah. But I always
find that. Go ahead.
Sorry, I always find that. When I get into the room for first day of rehearsal and I'm kind of giving my design spiel, or I'm kind of giving the pitch, I always try and leave the door open a little bit for actors to engage with me so that they have the permission to know that they have the agency in the fitting room to do that. because it's really important. I think I can only really evolve the story of the characters to a certain point, and then I really need the human bodies to take it the rest of the way. So I really want them to discuss the things, and sometimes those things are, actor human body things, and then other times they're character questions. So I like to challenge and continue that conversations from both sides, because sometimes a lot of people can't see the difference either, and you kind of want to wade through the conversation and get through it. And really, it's exactly what Dana said. Like, if I have no interest in maintaining my design if they're going to get out there and really hate it, I'll never sell the story that way, and then I won't succeed. So that's really kind of a bummer.
But it's great when you can get them on board.
Yeah.
In the first fitting, or get them excited by the rendering, and you have the conversation in that fitting about where you're coming from with that actor, and maybe they give you stuff back, but it's always great when they take what we've talked about in the fitting back into the rehearsal hall. So I see the relationship between the fitting room and the rehearsal hall being really, really symbiotic, and it's all about communication, going back and forth and back and forth.
Yeah, I
for me,
sorry.
No, for me the drawing is more like it's like a map guide. It's like the research and my guide to get into that costume idea, but the real work, I guess, for most of us really happens in the fitting room and in rehearsal, right?
Yeah,
and I think
stage,
just like you, Joanna, I also feel like if we don't leave any flexibility for the actor to have an input in it, chances are it's just going to be an imposed design that it's not going to give them the chance to extend, to have that body extension that they so much need for their work.
Yeah, I recently did a show where the rehearsal process was very challenging for the company. So half of the beginning of my fitting time was boosting them. It was like I needed them to be happier so that I could get them into what I got them into and wanted to impress them, and they always left really happy and excited. And it was a really bad pattern, because the director started sending problem actors to me to cheer them up, because it wasn't the most positive work environment that on that show, and they felt like $1 million when they left the fitting room, because I was really channeling my inner Osborne and taking care of their needs and what they needed, and I think that it's really important to if you have a strong vision, and if you have a costume that might make someone feel a bit vulnerable, to have that early conversation with them outside of the fitting. I've taken taken people for brunch. I've called them on the phone and said, hey, I really want to shave your head. Like, are you good with this? And you gotta sell them the idea. And I don't know.
Especially if you're dealing with anyone that has has a eating disorder or any sort of history in that way, approaching it way before you get to the room I find is really important. And also there is the other side of it, where sometimes when you're saying the director is sending people to you, there are times where the director keeps sending you back with a costume note, and it's not actually about your costume. It's actually about they can't get the actor to the spot they want, right? We've all had those moments where the wig changes color 8 times, or you're like, you're tap dancing your butt off, but it's nothing to do with not the costume's fault, right? And we can't solve it, and we're trying really hard. I mean, that's another, that can happen on the other side, where we've all, I've certainly had that a few times. So
well, yeah, exactly. It's like a prop note. I often say, is the prop wrong, or did they forget their lines?
To support that, though, and to help out with those problems, actually, for me, all of these issues, which we've all experienced and are real, goes back to the beginning of the design process. I didn't hear anyone talking about the library, which actually is where I start out. Yeah, when I get my script, the first place I hit is the library, and books and documentaries on whatever the subject is, whether it's a time period or a philosophy that I don't know anything about yet. I get as much of that into my system as possible before I start drawing, so that then, and I'm sure all of us do this, so that then we have those tools to help with the fitting room, which is what I would call the rehearsal process as well. It mostly happens in the fitting room. It's like our rehearsal.
Mm-hmm.
I use the
Yeah.
picture files a lot in Toronto. I don't know if anyone's still using the picture files besides me, but at the Metro Reference Library.
Oh yeah.
You can find some crazy stuff there.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And it's such a great space to hang out in too. Just people watch at the at the Metro.
I think there's something about being in the
Yeah.
fitting with the craftsperson as well. So when you're in there with a really talented cutter, they hold a knowledge of kinesthetics and
Mm-hmm.
body shape and how to achieve something that no one else holds that knowledge. There's a specific set of a specific set of knowledge that cutters hold in terms of shaping fabric onto bodies. And I experienced this really strongly when I worked on slime at Banff, because we were trying to also build electronics and wearable lights into a lot of the costumes, and working with, conductive thread and conductive paint, and having to think about where can we put these objects so that we're not impeding action and movement. They don't stretch, they don't, and so that kind of knowledge, someone like, Judy Dowrow, who was doing the cutting on that particular show, incredibly knowledgeable woman, but also incredibly knowledgeable about very specific things that I think go completely unrecognized in the pay scale of wardrobe craftspeople.
Absolutely.
Because that body knowledge no one else possesses, and it's quite complex.
I think you're right, April. You're only as good as your cutter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And your team, your entire team, whoever's touching it, sewing it, like that's the energy that goes into it. So if you can, I find also a few designers that I've really respected that have had a harder time are the ones that can't let go a little bit. Like you do your work and you bring it and you join the team. It is an ensemble art. If you try and strangle that dress all the way to stage, you are robbing yourself of the opportunity of all the energy and all the smarts that you get to touch.
100%. I mean, a good wardrobe team, it's sad because we don't have full wardrobe teams in most regional theaters these days, outside of Stratford and Shaw or whatever. Neptune has amazing wardrobe team. And those ladies, I mean, they have taught me just as much as I learned at Stratford, and then some. I mean, the amount of times I've been kicked, like physically kicked in a fitting for being wrong. It's amazing, and I trust them implicitly, and being able to say to them, what do you think about this? Or am I wrong to go with this lace or this, or am I and sometimes I over focus. I have a bit of ADD. I get really focused on one thing that's not important. And for them to say to me, let it go. Like, nobody's going to see it. Nobody cares about that button, Sean. Move on.
Or back up. Just back up. That's the other thing. People who do fittings like this, that is not how the audience is going to see it. Back up.
It's not film.
Yeah, it's not film.
Yeah, no.
Lindsay Jacobs used to run the wardrobe at Citadel for years and years, and when you were going down a rabbit hole, she would just sing "From a Distance."
Yeah, I've worked with a lot of different teams of various sizes in different theaters in Europe and also here and in Toronto, and it is all about the team. And I know at the Paris Opera, it's a huge team of people that work there, and a lot of times it's big fancy French designers that come in to design, and they never even go into the cutting room to meet anybody or have tea with them, or they're just totally hands off and just sort of go to one or two fittings and that's it. And I just find that's really, I don't know, I'm totally in there myself, and I love to actually be involved with everybody and to have a lot of conversation with the cutter and with the sewers, and to see how things are getting put together, and also at the end of it, when it's all done, to actually do a little bit of painting and breakdown. And I always hang out in the dye room, the dye shop. Like everywhere I go to work, the dye shop is always my favorite landing spot. Because for me, it's always important to build in just a lot of like a backstory to the costume, even if it's for dance or whatever. There's always a backstory to everything you create, and that's what makes it more real. And anyway, so I find the different teams of people that you work with along the way in different places, it's always a sort of similar personalities and similar people, similar skills, and whether it's a small little theater, there might be a cutter that's fantastic and the best cutter you've ever known. Or if you work in a big place, they could have some really bad cutters as well. Anyway, it's it all comes down to the
Some
people
theaters don't
and the
even have
teams.
cutters.
They're pulled together. Yeah, exactly. It's us. Yes.
Nancy, can I ask you a quick question?
And the sewers. Sure.
Nancy, do you think that what you described as the process of the French designers, are they coming from a place where my sketch is the thing and not willing to engage in a dialogue about what that sketch is, and then that it has to look like that and that's it? Or like, where do you think that kind of approach comes from?
Well, mainly it's like there's designers that work at the Paris Opera, like Karl Lagerfeld was doing a show there just before me, and Jean-Paul Gaultier was doing one later. So there are people that, they're just going for the name for those particular shows, and it sells tickets.
Right, and those people are,
but they basically don't have any
don't
time to deal with it.
Yeah.
Well, but I can't imagine that they would be interested in the opinion of the performer either. With,
No, it's like,
No.
Because
And the performer,
they build for a body.
Yeah. And I'm sure the fit model
Interesting.
that the staff at the Paris Opera gets in to actually fit for that person, I'm sure is like the perfect body, and will look the best in the costume and
So
whatnot.
sorry,
But
you're telling me that they don't even fit the actor who's going to wear it? It's some other stand-in for
no, it's the one show that I'm referring, it was one that Karl Lagerfeld was doing, and it was a big ballet that involved the entire company, and so he would have fit the prima ballerina and the top ballet male dancer and a few others, I'm sure.
Right.
Who knows, but yeah.
Yeah, I think
I'm sure he would have
culturally-
fit the actual person, the actual costume.
Yeah, culturally, I think we spend a lot more time with our actors in Canada than other places. I mean, having just worked with tailors in India, it was really weird to be able to like go there, drop off fabric, give instructions, and then come back 3 days later and just pick up the garments. Like that was it. Like that was the context of our engagement, and that was normal. I was working with people who do this all the time, and I mean, it was amazing work. Tell me about it. But it was really weird to not go back and see a prototype. It was really weird to not go back and see a mock-up or be able to give notes. It was just sort of like you had 10 minutes to, describe what you want, sketch it out on a napkin, all the like, this is my neckline, this is my seam, this is it. And then you hand it over and you hope for the best.
Right. Wow.
Were those traditional garments?
So how did it?
I would say 75% of them were traditional garments, but there was a bunch that were musically inspired traditional garments, right? So because it was a musical, it wasn't wedding wear. It was wedding wear, but it wasn't wedding wear, if you know what I mean. Like, it was trying to figure out how to make it on stage, as well as look.
Theater wear.
Yeah. So like, it's like doing a ready-made sari. So saris are just fabric that is wrapped, but trying to figure out how to do it in a way that can be just stepped into and put on in a quick change.
Hey, Sean, how do you say gusset in Hindi?
I had a translator and a pencil. This.
Do you think that people who work in theater who are not costume designers understand that added layer of emotional labor that costume designers do in terms of the interactions with performers?
Not at all.
Depends,
I mean, some
though.
people,
Not
I
really.
think.
I don't know.
Some people do.
Yeah.
I
Some,
think some
but
people do.
it's
Yeah, but you know, I don't know. I don't wanna go on again with my genderized ideas on theater, but I do feel like perhaps people who are more involved in, like, have always been involved in set and lighting and haven't really never worked in costumes could potentially not understand what it means to be in the fitting room with dealing with not only the costume and the concept, but the emotions of the actor as well. But
it's an intimate
some really good
setting
people.
that's
Yeah.
unlike anything else, right? Like when you're a lighting designer, like I think you're privy to seeing performances and seeing them in their raw emotional states on stage. And I'm not taking away from that at all, but I think there's a much bigger dialogue between a costume designer and the actor because of the fitting room and so much all the one-on-one time that we get with the actor that some set and lighting designers just they don't have that amount of face time. So I think, like, it's tricky that they are pretty understanding, but I don't think they really understand. It's an emotional investment almost because you're trusting them with your costumes to perform in them. Yeah.
I think, Carmen, you could speak quite eloquently about it. It is gendered work, right? We don't see wardrobes full of a whole bunch of straight macho men. There's a reason for that, and that work.
Nothing personal, Sean.
I just told you about my insecurities online, and you just called me out.
We love sensitivity, but I think that the work in the wardrobe, in terms of that emotional labor, and emotional labor being a fairly 21st century term, and thinking about, what that means when you look at gendered work in other industries, is that emotional labor is falling to specific genders, and not necessarily related to the sex of an individual, but literally to attributing emotional qualities to genders. And I think that, it's not a secret, and it's also a negotiating point in some ways to say, this emotional labor actually costs something. And it takes more time. I'm sorry, it does simply, as someone who does lighting and costumes and scenery, it takes more time to engage in emotional labor than it does to count the fucking gel. Because there's no emotion. Gel doesn't, doesn't have emotional. Gel doesn't have eating disorders, and so you don't have those same kind of problems.
Yeah,
I think you can call it what you want. I think name it, the more powerful we become over it.
I get that. I do get that, April, but I would say that lighting designers are as emotionally invested in their projects as a costume designer.
I'd say.
It's not about the emotion of the person doing the work. It's about the emotional labor. And emotional labor is, I have to deal with the emotion of someone else creating work for me. Right? So I have to think about, what state of mind is that actor in as I walk into a fitting room? And so I have to take that on. And if that actor, doesn't like the costume, or throws the gloves back at me, or, I don't know how many times as an assistant designer at the Stratford Festival, the ego stroking was part of the job. So, that's emotional labor. It doesn't mean that
Mhm.
the lighting designer isn't invested in their work. I bet they are. But they certainly don't have to do that. You know, the Lico's not going to throw the lens at them and say, fuck
Mhm.
off.
But I find, though, designing costumes is actually one of the most interesting aspects of melding together everything in a show, because you're putting a visual to the performance, and I always find it an honor to actually take that on. If you're working with a director or choreographer who's really great and you believe in, and you have a lot of fun collaborating with, there's nothing better than actually taking on designing the costumes for that show. And to actually,
Emotional labor is fun too, right? Like,
oh yeah, no, it's really, really great. Like it's like I couldn't imagine doing any other part of making theater other than doing the costumes and aging the costumes to make them more real and making them just the right color and the shade to bring out any aspect of the character or emotion that might be needed to help support that actor's performance. And then to, you know, pull back or bring up, depending on the actor, like what they're capable of bringing to the stage. If they can handle something that's, you know, more dramatic, then that's fantastic. But if they can't, you have to sort of pull them back a bit. And anyway, it's fun kind of playing with that balance on the stage through costumes. And it's, it feels quite powerful as far as a participant in the process goes.
I also, lastly, on just like emotional and input and output, I think that maybe, I don't know how everyone else feels about this, but for me, recently, because of a lot of the work I do, tends to be new Canadian plays, and I'm finding that the stories that I'm designing for, especially with costumes, the lens has sort of widened recently. So I'm kind of honored with the opportunity to represent a lot of different communities that have been in the margins before, or are kind of like finally coming into the light. So I feel like the emotional labor that I hold is actually more just a really awesome, like Nancy said, an honor, but also like a really important responsibility, I think, and as far as giving to the theater community or the artistic community, because the community is just bigger now in a different way. So I really enjoy that challenge, but sometimes it's fucking scary because I do feel like I'm holding a lot of responsibility and I don't want to let people down. But it's also, you know, storytelling. So there's a lot of liberties, but there's, you know, the more stories you tell that are closer to real people, and the more authentic these people look on stage, I think that responsibility gets bigger. And I really like that challenge, but it's also a legit challenge.
Yeah, 100%, Joe. I freak out every time I'm given a show that is multicultural and that I'm trying to learn that culture. I'm trying to learn the accents of their fabrics, of their how they wear their garments, what is traditional, appropriate. It's super scary. And April, I'm sorry, I do apologize. I agree with you. We carry, as designers, we carry a lot of secrets from that fitting room. We know everybody's insecurities. We know everybody's waist size. We know everything, and we do carry that. We carry that like throughout our lives, right? I mean, and those are the actors that come back to us 2-3 years later and are comfortable with us in a fitting room because we know how to address those insecurities. Like we're like gatekeepers of secrets, and we all know I'm not the best secret keeper, but in terms of that stuff, I tend to hold it close.
Yeah, we're also psychologists, right? And I guess that's part of the emotional labor is that we have to like get a reading of the room and be really careful about our words and how we interact and where do we touch and all of that. Like that takes skill, and that skill just gets learned over time too. But it's an extra skill other than the talent of being able to use color and fabric and talk with the cutter, right?
Yeah, and it's not about us. That's the other thing too. Is as a costume designer, I'm sure all of you I don't want you to go to the show and go, "Oh, you can tell that all the design has different people doing it." Right? You want it to look like one cohesive thing, one being, one solid image or whatever it is too. So you need to not exist. You need to be able to pull your ego out and shove it down the garburator or whatever. Like you're not there. It's not about you.
I think sometimes the biggest compliment is when you feel really great about what you did, but nobody comments on the costumes. That's actually one of the biggest compliments, because it's actually, you've just made something that's real and people haven't even noticed that there are costumes. So, of course, it's always nice to get a compliment, but
we have a good question from the YouTube chat from Michelle Cutler, which is, I'm curious to hear more of your thoughts on body diversity on stage. Has it changed throughout your career in different places? Is there a way for costume designers to help advocate in this area?
The only advocation we can do is making the actor feel awesome. Really, we want every shape, we want everything. So we're there to support.
Yeah, I would say that in my case, it has definitely changed. Oh, sorry, April.
Oh no, it's okay. Go ahead.
Only thing I want to say about it is that for the longest time, at least when I started working in Vancouver, it seemed like the main thing that I was called to accomplish is make somebody look lean. And I am so against that right now. Like every now and then when I receive comments about oh, that wasn't very flattering on the actor, I just go what is flattering anyways? Like, what does it mean? How? But I'm realizing that it's slowly changing, at least in our community. But I suppose still about 8 or 9 years ago, it was about how do you make a person look taller and lean, give them platforms, give them Spanx, give them whatever. And I just don't think that has anything to do with character anymore. And it's really unfair. So yeah, I think Michelle has a really good question. And I think we should be advocating as much as we can in the community.
Carmen, I think you're right. We do see different shapes coming in a way that we also see different skin tones coming and different ages also. There are more, I see a lot more middle-aged women coming to the stage than I saw in my early career. And I think that there's a difference in how they're perceived now too. But we can advocate by making sure directors know that we can costume anybody. But it's really, I've had directors who've said, well, we could do this person, we could do this person. And, I've said, and they're like, can you tell me if the body shape is easier to costume? And it's like, really, it's not about the body shape. Like, who do you want on the stage?
Yeah.
And
it's the talent.
It's the, who do you want in that character?
Yeah.
Because we should be able to clothe any body, right? Especially if you've got a team of cutters that can cut to any shape. And even if you've got one head of wardrobe who does some cutting and some, the difficult body might be the one that you have to spend the money on, but so what? And you can order.
There's another way.
Online, for God's
There is another way that you can advocate, not only for body shapes, but for, like you say, people at different skin tones, different heights. And it's actually when you're designing your costume plates, especially if you have a large group of people, to just show some diversity in any of those plates. Even if you're doing a paper project and you're pitching things to artistic directors or other directors, authors, playwrights that you want to work with, is show that on the page. I can't say how heartbreaking it was to me a few years ago. I had a professional actor come to me and say it's the first time she'd ever seen her hair drawn on a costume plate. She was a Black woman, and she was used to seeing either no skin color, so just like whatever the color of the page was, and some other hairstyle. Normally her hair straightened, and I was the first person who had drawn her hair on a costume plate. That was heartbreaking. She'd been working for she had a career of 12 years, and for someone to see that for the first time you don't ever want to go through that. Like, just be
No,
aware that the Canadian theater community is made up of people from all across Canada, which includes every nationality, you know, from Indigenous people and Inuit people who were here before any settlers, then everyone from around the world has settled in Canada at one time or the other. So show that when you're doing your work.
That's a really good note, and it's unforgivable that if you know the casting, or if you just have names, find out what color the face is, or you know, like that. That should never happen.
Yeah,
I think that's one of the first things I do is actually look online to see who it is, and I take a screenshot of their face, and I try and incorporate that face and the skin tone and their hair into my sketch.
Yeah,
and I enjoy that part, because once you start with the face, then it actually leads into the rest of the costume. It really helps with the design of the whole piece. It's just knowing who it is. And
I think a lot of young
faces
designers forget that the sketch is a selling tool for you to the actor as well as the director. And if you have made an attempt to reflect them as actors and as people and as them approaching the character, that gets you a long way in your relationship with that actor.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, David, I agree with you. I think that was a question on Designers Guild recently from a student who was asking whether faces were important. Faces in extreme detail may not be important, but definitely skin tone, definitely hair, definitely things that I have redrawn sketches, because sometimes you get, you draw a show well in advance of complete casting, and then you get the casting and you find out it's a person of color, or you find out something else, that they're a person who maybe isn't the size that you drew. So you adjust, you redraw so that they don't walk into a first day and see it on the wall of the rehearsal hall and feel completely unconnected to that sketch. It's not fair to put them in that position, to make them feel uncomfortable.
Well, as Carmen was saying, the sketch is the map. It's the map to your whole process. And if the map isn't quite correct at the beginning, you have to correct the map as you go along. And it really helps everybody in the room to actually see what's happening, and to help communicate to everybody in the room, in the rehearsal hall, and to everyone in your team to help direct the whole show. And as Dana was saying too, like, you want everything to kind of feel like it's part of the same world. And anyway, that map, the initial map, is very important to make.
And I
that
find
happen.
having it in the fitting too, like sometimes we
absolutely.
get stuck in a fitting and someone's forgotten it or something. But if I get stuck and there's something about it there, and you can do a little bit of comparison or something about, because you start to feel your seams when you're drawing it, right? And sometimes that can help. Anytime I get super stuck, I have to go back to the drawing.
Absolutely.
And things may have changed hugely, but there will be something there that
absolutely
goes back.
Right? Constant reminder of your direction, your path.
Well, sometimes you draw things so far in advance that by the time you get to the fitting, it's like, what did I draw?
Yeah.
And it's nice to have that reminder to look at it and be like, oh yes, I want the seam to be here, I want this trim to be there. That's how I drew it, and I'm right. That's how I wanted it in the first place. So having the sketch there, I think, is absolutely important for the actor as well, and the rest of the team.
I think another thing that young designers forget is that the attitude and the dynamism of the figure that you draw for that character, for that costume, for that scene is really important and really helps sell your sketch. So maybe you have to do a line drawing for the cutter of where your seams really are, but if you can master some sort of dynamic movement in the figures that you draw, I just feel like that really is part of my work as the designer of that character and of those clothes. And it really shows that you know what the actor has to do in that costume, and you know what the play is about. You know what you know what the show has to do. Do you know what I mean? Like I think it reflects your understanding of what it is that you're all working on together.
Yeah.
But also, if you are young, though, like I was very unhappy with my drawing ability for many, many, many years, even when I was professionally working. So again, it is a tool to get you there. Don't get stuck, because there's nothing worse than being so upset about your work. You are the artist. Enjoy it. Enjoy the process. And in a few years, that just the repetitive nature, your drawing gets like so much better than it used to be.
I agree,
style,
Dana,
right?
but I also still to this day I still feel sometimes unhappy with my drawings. You know, it's just it feels like I will never get to a point where I'm gonna be.
I want to draw like Nancy. I want to
exactly Nancy. Can I be like you, or Alison Green, or Christian Reiner, who are amazing illustrators? But you know, I feel like I have to get over it a little bit, because otherwise I will spend all the time drawing and then have to move on, right?
I think that's us getting in our own way, because everyone gets freaked out. Like I've drawn the same costume 400 times, and it's not the costume's fault, and it's not the idea's fault. It's just the way I can't draw the thing that I need. So I think you just take those opportunities to develop your style and figure out how you're going to communicate things in a way that you're happy with, that feels artful. And you fill in the gaps with the people that need to know. You know,
and I totally steal other people's designs. Like when the shows are done and there's like extra photocopies, like I have a whole pile of like hidden stash from.
I do that too, Dana.
I do that too.
I actually, my whole house is like a collection of people's. Dana, one of yours is in my bedroom. But I just
let me redraw it, please. Let me redraw it.
I teach at Ryerson, and like only once a year, and it's a baby course. But it's the same thing I say to my students: find your medium. Like it doesn't have to be watercolor. It doesn't have to be gouache. It doesn't have to be perfect. Like what you acknowledge. You just need to communicate your idea clearly. So how can you do that? I mean, Carolyn Smith.
So beautiful.
God. Like
so beautiful.
Her collages are like kill me. I've got like 3 of them in my house. I have something from everyone. But like it you know, you just have to find what your medium is. And it's not going to be somebody else's.
We're also kleptos.
What did I say? They were gifts. They have inscriptions. Dana, you wrote something on your. It says,
I was hammered. I don't know.
It's the one with the coffee stain.
Right. How do you communicate design ideas effectively to actors and directors who often have very strong personal opinions about fashion and style?
You remind them that they hired you for a reason,
right? Yeah, they've hired you for a reason, for your eye to look at it. I mean, it has to be done with a lot of diplomacy, but costume is not fashion design, and also you are costuming a character, not an actor. So an actor may not like a certain thing just because that's not their own personal style, but you can convince them by all that research that you've done, or the fact that you've been in this show for 6-8 months sometimes before they get into the rehearsal hall. You can talk them through it and come up with, I mean, you don't always want to necessarily convince someone and hammer your idea that my idea is right and you have to do it my way into their head, but you can have a conversation, find out what the problem is and get around it. But it always has to do with talking and not arguing about it, but discussing it.
I also want to say that has become more difficult for contemporary shows. Like I almost feel like there's a really fine line. It's way more complicated for me to try to dress somebody when I just shop for them and have a rack for them, as opposed to just creating a period costume that we're building for them,
100%.
right?
Mhm.
Because
Yeah,
people will,
absolutely.
I guess actors will just feel that more close to their personal style. So that is harder to negotiate, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah.
Much
It is
more-
harder to negotiate, especially when you're not using a cutter and when you're just shopping off
Yeah.
of racks, which is what so many smaller shows are these days.
Yeah.
But it still comes down to having a discussion and
Yeah.
not an
Yeah.
argument about it.
Yeah.
But it is
Totally.
harder, Carmen. You're right. It's harder to do with contemporary fashion because people think
Mhm.
that they know what looks good on them, and that may look good on them, but you might not want the character to look good.
Mhm.
So sometimes you have to explain the whys of that to
Mhm.
people, which is a discussion you're going to have in fittings anyway.
Yeah.
Well, especially
I
if you're
do
working.
think that the director also, I think part of the question was the director as well, right? And I still do hold the director as the captain of the ship. So if
Yeah.
the director really doesn't like something and we've discussed it and they're still adamant, I do tend to do what they want.
Well, if the actor is young and actually has worked in television or film previously to when you get them, they're usually pretty hard to work with, because in film you end up having to create a store sometimes, or like racks of stuff to choose from, and if they're used to that kind of treatment, then that's and they haven't had proper theater training, it can be quite dreadful. But fortunately I haven't had to deal with that. Maybe once or twice, but
I've by and
not-
large, my experience with directors is that they're like, "Oh, you do it. I don't have
Yeah.
an opinion
Yeah.
about the clothes. I'll tell you when I don't like something, but I'm not going to weigh in." That's basically been my experience.
Yeah, and I think for me, if it's whether it's the director or the actor, like if it's early on and the director and I are having differing opinions, I think it always comes down, just like Sabrina said, to a conversation, but just to refocus the conversation back to how does this help tell the story. So for me, if it's an actor in a fitting room or it's tech dress or whatever it is, and they're not happy or they're physically showing some unhappiness, I tend to, one, make sure that they're okay and they're safe, but also revisit the conversation to just say, like, if I sense that they don't like where I've gone with the costume, I tend to just ask them about the story again, and we re-talk about the psychology of the character and the reasons why they may have worn this, especially if it's contemporary, because the psychology nut is really where it goes down a deep diving hole of, like, how many people have I seen wear this on the subway, and what does that say to me about this person? And I try and fit all of those reasonings into the fitting with that actor, that human who will be playing that character early on, because that's really the only way that we can be on the same page right up until opening, and then they carry the show. So yeah, it's really, for me, it's about recircling back to how can I tell the story through these clothes, and whether it's historically or whether it's contemporary, that's what I'm really concerned about. And if their concern is something different, we should totally talk about it. But if it's, a different opinion, let's talk about
And that's
that.
when your psychology degree comes in. Right? Like that is.
Oh, totally,
You gotta figure out how
Yeah.
to sell it.
Oh my God, so
Yeah.
much people watching, like being in fittings, assisting other designers. Like that was my favorite, was just watching how people crushed fittings, or how they entirely walked out defeated. It was just like, the winner though, like that's how I learned, was just like the master of negotiation was really just watching how people do it.
I had one of my first fittings a long time ago. I will not name names, but one of the most amazing moments was the designer turned to me. She goes, "Okay, we're about to do this fitting. I slept with her husband. Let's go." And I was like, it was so awesome. This is going to be so great.
Did the actor know? Did the actor know or no?
Apparently. So I just like.
They had something in common. They knew each other very well. You have an advantage right there.
I didn't
I
realize.
really think we should be like a TV show, like a cable show. Like I think like it should just be called Fitting, and it's like
Oh,
where it's just
100%.
that one costume.
drama.
Like
Told
7
Morris
people in the
Cannon.
fitting room, everybody having opinions
Nobody
about the
would believe it.
costume.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody would believe it. They'd be like,
No.
that never happens.
I remember being in a fitting with Miss Osborne over there, and the actor freaked out. It just freaked out, called everybody in, shut the door, started ripping clothes off, and was screaming at everyone on this little platform. And like there was like 10 of us in there, and tears, and like just all. I mean, at the end of the day, this person, I'm not gonna just wanted to
I'm
show
like,
some body
Text me
parts.
after.
it was
But it was
crazy.
like, you don't understand me. You don't get me.
Oh no.
It was ridiculous. It was
Well,
so
and it really
funny.
is like I have told a couple younger designers coming up that that's what we've gone through for many years is not acceptable anymore. That's the other thing too. So it is that thing. If you're in a fitting and you feel unsafe or it is not going in the right direction, and call it. I just say, you know what, we're done. And we'll revisit this, and I'd actually just walk out now. And
100%.
that's absolutely, as a young designer, please, you do not need to take any of the shit that we have taken. No more. We're done
It
with
was a different world. Yeah, it was
Totally.
definitely a different world.
So
But
yeah, and it's not art. You know, like it's not helpful. So
Mhm.
It also
Get out of
speaks.
the
Never
room.
forget it, though.
It also
Yeah,
speaks though
totally.
to the vulnerability of the. Like, I don't think that we understand how vulnerable actors feel or are. You guys would, as a lighting designer who just sees them on stage. You know, I've seen people,
Lose it.
melt down on stage
Yeah.
once,
Yeah.
like once or twice, maybe, in the 10 years I was working, but not in the kind of not with the emotional stakes that occurs in the fitting room.
Well, it
And,
is that vulnerability, right?
Yeah.
Again, and another reason why I could not be an actor. Like I was like, I can't separate my body and my issues from the work, and that's therefore. I mean, that's the other thing about an actor. I think a great actor is someone who's prepared to be ugly and unlikable. Like those are some things that some people really need to stretch to believe in those parts of themselves, right?
They have to lose some vanity. Like that's the thing. It's the ability to be not
Human.
attractive on stage.
Mhm.
There was
And that's a big problem. I've had so many conflicts with people where you do, again, it's like psychological thing. It's like, okay, you're playing a villainous witch. You need to look like someone who's scary, and you have to have those conversations. And sometimes they're not willing to appear that way, and it's hard. It's hard to convince someone you have to be ugly.
Yeah.
Sorry, like this is not your poster show. Like this is not like your next biopic, right? Like you're gonna be an ugly person, and it's right, and you can embrace that, and you can make it that much better. And this could be a huge door opening for another like side of your career.
Yeah. There was a really interesting thread on Facebook a couple of months ago that was all actors responding to this one question, and it was basically it was fitting stories, like or costume stories, like what was the worst, basically what was the worst thing that ever happened to you. And I found it really difficult not to weigh in, because that wasn't it wasn't, I wasn't invited, right? But it was really interesting to see how an actor would describe an ugly fitting, like a bad fitting or an unfortunate encounter with a designer. But to be a designer reading that, it's just really, what happened, right? And that is their take, but you also understand the underlying circumstances that may or may not have been at play for that to happen. And it's really unfortunate that production ended without the designer and the actor coming to some sort of understanding. You know what I mean? Like it was a weird thing, and I wanted to respond, and I didn't think it was my place.
Now we all have to go back on Facebook and find this.
Yeah, but I can't remember who it was. I don't remember.
Oh well.
It's interesting though, because if you do any other design discipline, like I'll never forget the first time I did only a set design. Normally I do production design, like anything tangible on stage. I've done it, but the first time I did a just set design and not costumes, I couldn't believe how free I felt for so much of the process, because other people were in there taking care of everything. You're like, oh, we need something to happen over here. We'll just hire more people for that. And I was like, sir, what? You're just gonna hire more people? Yeah. and also emotionally, like not being attached, knowing the actors having this relationship with them that wasn't so personal. I couldn't believe how light I felt. I had a
How much
point
more fun
right
it
here,
was
though,
to go to the
David.
green room?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. But to be used, my point is I was actually used on the sounding board, though some of the performers were unhappy with something happening in fittings, and they came to talk to me about it, and I did give them the other perspective, and maybe because it wasn't coming from the costume designer, it was coming from me. They or maybe because I was feeling so light and carefree because I was just doing the set. They did really appreciate seeing the other side of things, and they were able to appreciate it. So I think that when you do feel it's your place to step in, as you say, David, you hadn't been asked, when you do feel it though, they do appreciate another perspective and seeing maybe where the costume is coming from. Because have you ever seen an actor criticize a sound designer for what the sound sounds like, or a prop that they're using? I've never experienced that in anything else. It's only in costume design when someone's
I've
like,
seen it with props.
You've seen it with props? Okay. But on this
Props.
shoulder, it's not quite right. It's not quite right for me. That's something that I've only seen. Okay, so fair props. A lot of people have seen it in props, but that's something I really see in costume. And I understand it's because this person is inhabiting this character, and I really like those discussions. I don't shy away from those discussions. I find them exciting, and it can make the costume a lot better when you're working together. But sometimes they've been trained to be vulnerable. Actors have been trained this their entire lives, and this is what they spend their time doing. So sometimes they do need someone to bring in the other perspective and see where the fitting is going, or how a designer is trying to help them, because essentially we're all trying to make a good story at the end of it. We're all trying to make a successful show at the end of the day.
Okay, quick question. Who here has made somebody cry in a fitting? Are you serious? Really?
I can't remember.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was just me.
It was a nude unitard.
Unitary.
I think I have. Yeah.
Let's do this. Let's do our favorite stories. This is really fun.
Before we go there, though, I want to make sure we don't. I don't want to make sure we don't slander anybody, though. These are also vulnerable times for the actors. I wonder if it's important, though, in the future. Like, this is not going to be the last panel we're going to have talking about costume design. It may be interesting, just as a different take, to have, 4 or 5 actors and 4 or 5 designers.
Oh yeah.
Talk about their own experiences. I don't know if they want to be like paired up, like you worked on the ballet and you were the principal dancer, but
yeah
like that might not be a good idea, but at least to have a general discussion about what it's like to
But it could be great.
Can we have Dan Shamroy?
Yes, Dan Shamroy would be an excellent
He would
solution,
just do the whole thing and we could just sit here.
Yeah, that's great.
Somebody else would have to talk. And
I know, exactly.
It'd be amazing.
And he'll also wear anything.
Yes.
I guess the nude unitard was that it was Dan Shamroy.
Sorry, Dan.
Oh, he didn't cry. He won't cry for nude unitard.
That's true. He'll fight for it.
We're getting close to the end here, and I want to steal a question from a previous panel to end this with, because that question had awesome answers, which is, during this COVID-19 pandemic, how is your creativity manifesting itself if there isn't active design work to do?
Baking.
Well, I've joined a little challenge to make a COVID crown inspired
Oh.
COVID crown with Alea Hammer, who's another young designer,
Oh,
and a few other people. And anyway, another friend is getting her son to do one as well. But I have to finish it today to photograph it.
Nothing like a deadline.
It's a big paper mache thing with these knobs that look like mushrooms
Oh wow.
coming out of it. It looks like
I
a big
think you should
COVID
go
virus.
get it, Nancy. I think
I know.
Yeah.
It's downstairs.
To see it.
We all haven't done a fitting in like 60 days. I'll do
You can make me
it.
cry. You can make me cry.
I've been knitting a lot.
and it's so beautiful. It's
Oh,
your
thank you.
knitting's amazing right now.
It's pretty
Cool.
it's pretty wacko. I love it. But no, I haven't felt any inspiration or reason to draw, which has been a bit concerning. But it's manifesting through knitting. So
Mm.
and baking lots of treats. Not as
Oh,
much
yeah.
as the knitting.
I baked some bread yesterday as well.
Yeah.
And the garden has
I
never
think-
looked better.
Oh yes, the garden.
Oh yeah, gardening.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, all those summer theater people's gardens are gonna be bomb this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone's gonna have time.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
hated
haven't
that
felt
wall.
the urge to draw either.
No.
Like Joanna, and I was actually thinking, I'm like, I should just do an exercise and
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
show just to keep this up.
Mhm.
Because drawing is one of those things, if I don't do it often, then when I have to go back and draw something, it takes me forever because I'm like, oh, how do I do this? Oh, I
Right.
can't. Oh.
How do I
And
draw
then I
feet
just
again?
put it off.
Yeah.
How do I, yeah, exactly. How do I draw
Yeah.
a nose? Why does the
I-
neck look so funny? Like, but I feel like I'm trying to manifest it into other things. Like I taught myself some embroidery. So I'm trying to take the time to learn things that I wanted to learn before, but just never had the time. Like we do have the time, but then there's some days where I have all the time in the world and then nothing happens.
Mhm.
Like I literally end up eating my meals and then going to bed. So
I
it's
think
an
you're
interesting-
refilling the well though, right? Like I think a lot
Yeah.
of us unfortunately are burnt out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we push so
Absolutely.
hard to make ends
Yeah.
meet and to do this art form that I think this is a very terrifying opportunity to clean your studio, lie on the floor and cry. I'm on season 11 of RuPaul. Like I'm just
God.
right.
I've watched every season plus. I actually could quote them now. That's the embarrassing thing. But I you know what? I got my sewing machine out, which I haven't done in a long time.
It's masks.
I made some
Right.
masks. They're a bit pornographic. They're a bit like little cod pieces, but
We were
whatever.
aroused.
Like, yeah. So my neighbors all seem to enjoy them. I had some fun fabric kicking around, and so I decided to do that. But yeah, no, I'm trying to again. I like the last 3 days. The couch has been my occupation.
Yeah, I did that for a month and for me, it wasn't about exercising my creativity. It was, I need to be busy. I need to be doing something. So I took a job and I'm working 6 days a week and I'm working long hours in the funeral industry.
I know.
Ooh.
Amazing.
Wow.
What are you
So
doing in the funeral
Yeah, what are you
industry?
doing,
Yeah.
David?
Well, so ironically, when the world fell apart, I was working on Spamalot, and ironically now I've become literally the bring out your dead guy, because
Oh my God.
I do everything from helping with the ceremony, but you can only have 10 people at a funeral now,
Yeah.
to
Oh, okay.
picking up unclaimed bodies at the morgue, to picking
Wow.
up the embodied
Wow.
guys and getting them to the crematorium. Yeah,
Wow.
I have stories.
I
have
want your
Yeah.
TV
stories.
show.
Yeah.
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 How is this the end?
Yeah.
So you must have at times you must have to get sort of partially suited up, like with
Well, the hospitals are being very cautious. So when you're dealing with someone who is COVID and it's marked
Right.
everywhere. And unfortunately, what happens when someone dies of COVID is they stop being a person, they're the COVID, right? And it's and they're a double. The body bags are called shrouds. Don't call them body bags. Double bagged, marked COVID, COVID, COVID. The crematoriums won't take them and store them. You've got to book an appointment, and they go right into the like. They're being careful, but hospitals won't let you in. So you're doing transfers onto your gurney in alleys and on loading docks, and it's like it's kind of it's very real. Like it's still real.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow.
Crazy.
You wear a plague doctor mask when you go pick them up?
I think of it every day.
I have a pattern for one. I'm tempted. I'm going to make one.
Sorry, go ahead, David.
No. I'm done.
I was going to say, I did 4 weeks in a pathology elective doing autopsies basically for 4 weeks.
Amazing.
And it was an eye-opening and nose-opening experience.
No kidding. And did you go home at night and still have that smell? Like you couldn't.
I would go out for dinner and go, oh yeah, there's something in the alley,
right?
Or there's something. Yeah, it's a remarkable.
Hopefully not in the restaurant.
Yeah, or this salad. There's something in the salad that is out of context, like in a different context. It's something that you would absolutely have no issue with when you associate it with those other curious things. Yeah, it was remarkable. And I did a lot of scene responses as well with the coroner for folks who are in situ. So, yeah.
Well, and we do that too.
Right, because you're body removal.
We're the first ones in after the coroner.
Right. Yeah.
Wow. So I guess, David, everybody pretty much is getting cremated then. So I know in the Jewish faith, they like to bury people within a certain period of time. And it's the body, and it's not burned.
Well, the company that I'm working for they're called Eco Cremation and Funeral.
Right.
So they have an ecological bent to their business, but they do a lot of work with the Muslims, and the Muslim community want them in the ground the same day.
Right.
And they actually do a really kind of a beautiful thing, gravesite, where they open the casket and lift the body and take dirt from the mound and prop the body up so he or she is facing east. Right. And then they close it up again and bury. But I think the cremation thing is more about, that's just more the direction that we are going as a society. That's just a preferred method. People are seeing less value in the plot and the stone and the oak casket and all of that.
Right.
But it's not true that COVID has to be cremated. That's not the case.
Right. I guess it does disappear after the live body is no longer live, I guess, after a certain time.
I think the risk is minimal or less than if they were alive, but you have to be, like, if you're picking up somebody who's been intubated and the thing is still in their throat, like, you've got to be careful.
Yeah.
Oof. So
anyway,
David's got his plug in.
Amazing what you're doing, David.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Amazing.
Incredible.
Well,
thank you, David.
It's not noble. It's because I was going fucking crazy and I had to get out of the house.
Right.
Wow.
Does anybody else want to talk about any kind of work, point people in a direction towards work they're working on?
I'm learning to draw online so I can keep up with my grad students.
Yes.
What does that mean, April?
Everybody, all the kids these days draw on their iPads. So I don't know how to do that very well. So I'm working on that so that I can help them make their drawings better. Because their drawings are better when they draw on paper, but they don't want to draw on paper. So sometimes I make them draw on paper, but then they go back to doing the shitty thing they were doing on the iPad. So, trying to get them to like use the complementary color to make a shadow or, like shit like that just makes your drawing better. So just sort of, I'm trying to figure out how to use the machine so that I can be one of the cool kids too.
And what are you using?
And teach in the 21st century. Right now I'm using Infinite Painter.
on the iPad, and I'm also using Concepts, and I really like Concepts because it wasn't expensive to buy the whole package, and it's a vector file, so I can take it into the 3D printer, and I could take it into, so you could do props on it, you could do sets on it, you can do costumes on it, and it's easier to scale up and down because you don't lose resolution.
Right.
But the painting bit on it takes a bit more effort because it's not meant to be a painting program. It's an illustration program only, and a bit cartoony in terms of color. So you have to work out the layer system a little bit differently. Whereas Infinite Painter works better with the layers and sort of has more of a Photoshop kind of style to it. So I'm using what the kids use. I call them kids. They're like 26, 30.
Just like us.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, that's why I'm gonna have a soft light and have
Yeah, you know.
Anybody else want to plug something before we duck out?
No, it's just
Hang
hope
it out.
yeah, right. I hope that one day we get to work again.
Yeah.
It'd be
You know what
nice.
the funny thing is, though?
Yeah.
And I always think this about lighting designers, but it's the same thing for costume designers, is that we don't ever get, all of us don't often get to work together because we do the same thing.
Yeah.
These
And I
conversations.
found
have
myself
been-
watching the lighting design panel thinking, well, how did you guys actually get to know each other? Which is a stupid question because I know all of you, or most of you anyway.
Yeah, I think it's about being the lighting design studios in the big festivals.
Is it really?
I think that's what it is. Yeah, because we all work in the same room, and that's the only place we work.
That's right.
You know,
But
we're not
also-
down in the wardrobe, or not
Right.
in at the
Right.
paint shop doing samples and stuff. We're all in the same room doing all the work, and we're making all those decisions together. And we actually have to work together, I think, more closely in the festivals because they're all making a plot together. And so my decisions on the basic affect your decisions on your show. So there's a lot more of that going on.
But I think also ADC does a lot for designers across Canada to meet
Yes.
as well, which is really cool.
For sure.
Yeah. And also there's certain wardrobes like at Bard or at Can Stage where there's a lot of designers that cross over. Well, at Shaw or Stratford as well, I'm sure.
Any of the A houses like
Yeah.
Citadel too, or Theatre Calgary ATP, where you're all kind of like, you have the poor side and then you have the rich side.
All right.
I
Well,
just love seeing you all. Like, I haven't seen half of you in forever, and again, it's because if you're working on a show, it means I'm not working on that show. So I never get to see you all, and it's great.
Well, let's do a show where we all get one character.
Yeah.
we could have another
God, that
workshop
would
like
be
that. You'll
so
go
fun.
away and create the same Hamlet or something. It'd be great.
Yeah, right.
Okay, well, thank you so much for everyone for joining me tonight on the show, and thank you, Connor, for leading the discussion. I just want to say that Kim Pertel says you're all fabulous.
Oh.
And
Aw.
thanks you all for the conversation. So thanks once again. We're going to be come back, in a few weeks probably and have a discussion. And I'm going to try and get that fitting room confessionals maybe up. I think it'd be a really interesting discussion. Maybe for like, I got to think of somebody who's like been around, like.
You need to ask the actors, like, who should be on that
Who
panel.
should be on
so
the
that we
panel? That's a
know
good
that
point.
Right.
That's a good point.
the-
So I'll find
the
4
designers
actors.
who are on that panel have been chosen by actors for some reason.
A group of
Yeah,
people.
exactly. We're all setting up for a confrontation.
Yeah.
Underdome.
Yeah. Diego Matamoros has been waiting to talk to you about this one thing that you guys did together. Okay, well, that's great. Thank you so much. I think we'll end it there. And don't tune in again next week, which is a ridiculous cliche. But come back next week. I think we're heading towards a video designer projection design panel next week.
Great.
Yes, April?
I just wanted to say, everybody needs to go on the WSD page and please start your submissions. We may be waiving the fee, so don't submit them yet. But get it started because you need to have images of a certain size and things like that. So please go on the World Stage Design website and get your stuff ready to submit for the competition.
That's a great plug. Thank you so much.
www.wsd2021.ca.
Fantastic.
Perfect.
And you can find many of the interviews or you can find all the interviews I've done for a few of the designers here on the in the conversation at thetitleBlock.com. This will be released next week, maybe, on the Titleblock podcast feed as well, where they'll have show notes and bios. And then come and join us next Thursday. We'll talk about video and projections, and then we'll cycle back to lighting design and all the other fun things, and fitting room confessions. That's going to happen. So thank you so much. We'll end it there. Have a great night, everybody.
Okay. Good to see you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.